Another episode of My Life in Letters. My name is Adam. I'm hosting here in Brooklyn, New York. And on the phone, I got Rigel Jaradovac, also known as Crayone from TWS.
Yeah.
How you doing, brother?
Yeah. What's up, man?
Super thankful to have you on the show. You know, it's new, what I'm trying to do here. But what it is I'm hoping to document through stories individual writers' experiences with this culture and the ways that we have created this culture, this graffiti culture. And for us, man, growing up in the Bay Area in the 80s, 90s, you were right there, brother, at the top, and inspired a lot of people. So again, thanks for being here.
Right on, man. Appreciate it.
I want to start early on with you, if we can. And I'm just wondering what your first interaction as a kid was with just lettering or type or, you know, the way that letters could be manipulated. What's your earliest memory around that?
Man, the earliest memory, you know what, it's got to be, there was this kid, I think I was riding the 38 Gary to Presidio Junior High, and there was this guy, I think his name is Jason, Jason, and he would just write in a little Sharpie, and it's no flavor at all. It was just like, he would actually have a circle on the A for anarchy, and I would see that on the bus. Like, I would always go in the back of the bus. That was me, man, back of the bus. And I would always see this, man. I was like, what the hell is this, man? Someone's getting up Jason everywhere. And this is way before, you know, like, this is 79, maybe 80 or something. It was like one of the first tags on the 38 Gary, and I was like mesmerized by it. But, you know, definitely just a write-up. But and then later on, eventually, all of a sudden, you know, more graffiti from New York came out. But yeah, there was definitely some tags in the city. But
and so that was like around 79. That dude Jason. Yeah. What did you think of that?
Just like, damn, he's bold, man. He got up. I mean, it's just like, it's on every 38 Gary, you know. And I was just like, what the hell is that? And I remember going to one of the dances over at the Presidio Junior High, which was like, I believe 8th grade or 7th grade, and there was a guy, I thought it was a fight, and there was a whole bunch of people around in a circle, and I stuck my head in, and all of a sudden there was a guy, you know, like doing something on the floor, and I'm like, what the hell is that? You know, and I caught the end of it, and I think it was one of those dudes who just, you know, was a transplant from New York, and just came to Presidio, and I just never seen anything like it, but I couldn't, you know, put one and one together to figure out what that was until later, you know, because I grew up baseball, basketball, football. That was it. That was my growing up phase until I got into breaking, and that just completely took me out of my sports activities, you know, because b-boying was my sports activity.
So that's it. You transitioned from traditional sports to b-boy sports. That's pretty dope. Man. And what year was it that you saw that guy breaking?
Shit, it was in my 8th grade or 7th grade. I'm not too sure.
And what year was that?
Let's see. I started high school in 81, so it must have been 80.
Uh-huh. Nice.
Yeah.
And that dude Jason was doing it as well in 80. Did you ever meet that guy?
No, never.
No, never heard of him. And you know, even before that, like, I wonder, did you know that, like, graffiti kind of was happening anywhere before you saw Jason tags?
No, I mean, I've seen throw-ups in, like, some of these magazines. I think it was Zoom or something like that, or it was like magazines, because I remember doing throw-up letters, or, you know, those bubble letters. But I wasn't copying it completely, but I noticed some of those letters were, like, kind of bubble letters, but I didn't really get into it.
So you had seen those bubble letters in a magazine called Zoom?
Yeah, Zoom or something like that. It's like a kid's magazine.
Nice. And so that was also around the same era, 79?
I would even say before that, maybe 78, you know? And then there was a show, I think, called Zoom or something like that. I forgot.
I got to check that out. And so, and what about even before Zoom? Was there anything, like, had you taken in lettering? Was writing, like, were you into handwriting, for instance, or?
Nah.
No.
My handwriting sucked.
Well, let me ask then, before 79, or at that point, artistically, were you getting inspired yet?
Nah. It was hip hop that inspired me to do wild style. That was my inspiration. Everything else before that was kind of like a little tidbit of information, but I didn't really get into it. You know, it was sort of maybe getting my psyche or my mind kind of getting ready for the wild style that was about to drop in 82, 83, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And so you see that. How did you see that? Was it on was it on PBS for you?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. At first I was b-boying, so when Wild Style, well, not Wild Style, Style Wars came out, I was just fast forwarding to Crazy Legs, you know? It's like, I was like,
Hmm.
what's all this graffiti shit, you know?
Yeah.
I
And
didn't really get into it for a couple of years. I was like, I knew people were doing it. I guess, I didn't even know people were doing it. I was just into the b-boying part, and I wanted to know how to get into that backspin that Crazy Legs was doing, you know, getting your two hands on the floor and getting your body ready to do that
yeah.
backspin or maybe even a flare.
Yeah. And so
And
after you saw that kid in 1980 at your junior high, did you start breaking right around that
no,
time?
no, I didn't. I didn't make the transition until later, until I got a little bit older, and I don't know. I guess I wanted something different in my life other than baseball, basketball, and football.
Yeah. And what about your friends? Were you with other dudes that wanted to break as well?
Yeah, and then when I got together with All City Crew, one of the guys, his name is Fury. He was the strutter of the crew. He was never breaking or b-boying, but he was strutting, popping, locking.
Mm.
And he brought in a sketch called Fury, and it was kind of like all fucked up, and the letters were like janky. But he had 3 arrows coming to the left, 3 arrows going to the right, going outside. And he's like, yeah, this is what they do in New York City. It's what they put on the trains. I'm like, what the fuck is this? And I looked at it. It was like the first time looking at kind of like a style, you know, that he took from New York style. And I looked at it and I'm like, what the hell? And that's when it really dawned on me for the first time in my life. I started looking at letters differently as someone who would actually place the sketch on my face, and I'm like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. And so can you talk about that a little bit more? Did you get a book there? Did you start sketching?
No, I didn't sketch right away. I mean, he brought, I think, some cans, maybe. I think he had cans with him that day or the following breaking practice or something at Japantown, because we were living in the Fillmore area, which is predominantly more the African American area, because we were living in Section 8, you know, because my mom and my family hit kind of rock bottom, so we were kind of traveling through different parts of the city through Section 8, which is like, you know, projects. Mm-hmm. And so we ended up in, you had to make a certain kind of money to be in this particular type of projects, not too much and not too little.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we were in there with a lot of, I think, people that worked as janitors. My mom was a social worker, so we were in this place, like right around Japantown, which was kind of like near Fillmore District, you know? And right across the street was a Japantown bowling alley. And when I was breaking, there was no breaking in the bowling alley. And until I walked in, I said, hey, look, can I get a breaking practice in here? And the owner is like so happy that gave us a spot. It was like on the 3rd floor.
Nice.
And sometimes we would open the curtains, and people bowling, they would see us. And on Friday nights and Saturday nights, it was open 24 hours. And so we would, you know, meet up once a week and stuff. And we would break there, but sometimes we would need breaks, you know. We would need breaks, basically. And so I think, you know, while he brought in the sketch, I was like, yo, you know, it's like, what the hell is this? Like, yo, it's what they do in New York, man. It's what they put on the trains. And I'm like, and I think he brought cans the next time, and we went across the street, downstairs into like the sub-level, and it was me, Ricky Puckett, and a couple other guys, and we were just kind of mesmerized by this can, so we started like painting right in downstairs, okay, right next to some kind of door, and we had a radio blasting too. We didn't know, man. So I think they gave me like a can of red or blue or something. We were just kind of like, you know, squibbling. I mean, I think they were starting with the letters and shit, and I was doing my own thing. And all of a sudden, I looked around, nobody. Like, I was so gone, trying to be creative. Dude, everybody was gone. And I'm like, I looked to my left, there was a couple of, like, Japanese tourists looking through the door, and I'm like, oh, shit. Like, dude, they took off without even telling me, man.
Damn.
I was so involved in the painting. And I think the next time I did something was on a cardboard, and I had, like, 4 or 5 cans I might have bought or something down the street. And then I was hooked, and I needed to do another piece, and this is at a very big time when the crack epidemic hit, but I didn't know because. So
wait, what year was that then?
Not in my neighborhood. I wasn't even.
What year was that?
I guess around 82, 83 or something. Okay. I mean, for me, it might have been there earlier, but I just never seen it in front of my face. So I snuck into one of the more crazier projects, like about 5 blocks from my projects, which was like crazy projects. Okay, if my project wasn't that crazy,
Mm-hmm.
I went into like this crazy ass project. It was hella dark. I was stupid. I could have got killed, man. I went up to the top floor and I was stepping on a lot of crack files.
Mm.
Who knew? Somebody might have been sleeping up there, but it was super dark. I had white, purple. I think it was a fluorescent blue, and basically I just made a 6x6 square. And this is like before I even like was looking at graffiti pieces. I was like, I just wanted to do letters, so it was. So I did a bunch of like little white clouds in this fluorescent blue background, which suck. You know how fluorescent blue is if you don't put a base color, right? So it's horrible.
Yeah.
And then in like 2 feet of letters, I wrote pimp, PIMP.
Yeah.
Sitting on a white cloud. It was like a baby blue pimp sitting on a white cloud with a fluorescent blue background. I was like hella happy, dude. I must have gotten high as shit because it was like all enclosed.
Yo.
I didn't know about
So
the toxicity of the paint.
Yeah, let me pull back a little bit. When you were first painting in Japantown, the bowling alley, you said you were doing your own thing. What was that? What were you while they were writing letters? What were you painting that first time?
No, I got up in Japantown. I think right off the balcony. It was on a cardboard. And it wasn't nothing special, but I was just trying to figure out how to use the paint.
Yeah.
And I was still b-boying. Everybody else was b-boying, but I was sort of like gradually, as I was getting more into painting, I was doing less and less b-boying.
Also, do you remember what cans you were using?
Yeah, it was like Magic. I think from some kind of it was Magic, MAGIC, with like 3 triangles. It's a lot of the old school that started like in San Francisco. Maybe in certain part of the city, they would know those colors.
Okay. So
I didn't really trip off of Rust-Oleum. Definitely Crayone was around, but I didn't make the transition. I just went up to that one store and they had Magic.
Nice.
And so it was a probably their own particular kind of can and shit.
And so you went straight for the pimp. That was you. You were like, I'm pimp. That's what I'm doing.
No, I wasn't even thinking about pimp or whatever. I didn't even trip on the meaning. I just did like these little block letters. It was like a Helvetica letter, man. It wasn't even like it had no letter, had no flavor at all, dude. It was just like
that's cool.
I think I was just really trying to find out like how the paint really works.
Yeah.
And eventually I started doing more and more flavorful words. I guess more lettering style, like with space. I think it was Crazy Pop that I took from some b-boy who scratched it into like some kind of wooden table at the wharf, and I copied that style and I put it on at my high school, and
Nice.
Basically people are looking for me, and I was like, nope, I don't know nobody, I didn't do shit. And basically they put a little paper out there, hey everybody, if you know this person that did this, we like to give them to we want to give them a bigger wall. So basically
nice.
people were writing on the paper on the wall, saying something like, "Don't do it, man. It's a trap. It's a trap." So eventually, I came up just saying, "Hey, look, I didn't do the Crazy Pop on the 3rd floor, but I can do something better." And basically, I was like, "All right, just go ahead." And that's when I did Galileo High, and I took everything off of Subway Art, basically. Not Subway Art. I'm sorry.
Spray can.
Yeah, Subway Art. I took everything,
okay.
this whole style. So that was my sort of like the Bible
Yep.
for me. When that book came out, I started like looking through those books to be inspired by style and shit.
And what year was the Galileo High piece?
I think 84.
Yeah, and what did it say?
Yeah, Galileo High.
Oh, it said Galileo High. Yeah.
Yeah, and basically I took like the style from Scene. I did the crazy rocks. They call it Richie rocks. I think what's his name? Jim Pergoff said they look like Richie rocks. So they were Richie rocks. I think everybody does their Richie rocks once in a while. So
Nice.
And then I did a little character from the book and shit. And one of the cats from South City, I think his name was Crime, came up to me and said, "Yo, man, I heard there was a writer in this school." And I'm like, "Yo, you're the guy?" And I'm like, "Yeah." It's like, "So where's your black book?" I'm like, "What's a black book?" "Yeah, you're supposed to put pieces. You're supposed to put your style in the black book." And I'm like, "Ah." So this guy kind of laced me up with some ideas like, "Hey, you're not supposed to bite off the book, blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, okay. So people I met throughout that particular time came to me and kind of told me that sort of like the rules, because I had nobody breaking it down to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, because I was like the first generation.
Yeah.
You know,
And so
yeah,
but there was a dude like Crime coming from South City who knew more than you.
yeah, or like Daly City, South City, something
Uh-huh.
like that.
And there were some were there some other heads that you were starting to meet up with?
Yeah, because I started going around the city, started taking pictures of Fun Gallery West. I think KGB got up their Fun Gallery West piece. This is when I started understanding, oh, there's crews out there. Oh, that crew is dope.
Yeah.
Called KGB, Crayone Graffiti Bombers, Reckless Riders. I started following like Doug and this crew.
Right.
Basically, when I found out, I had a network going. And it wasn't the best network, but it was a network where I got around and took a lot of photos from early days, and I was finding out who was doing what kind of style they were doing, and how good they were doing it. And I noticed like Doug was like pretty up there as far as compared to others. I started going to Cayuga Park, Crocker, Amazon, all those places in Daly City. And I have to admit, dude, I don't know what happened to San Francisco, but Daly City, for some reason, I think had a leg up on hip hop culture like a year or two before. I mean, I'm serious. I think the graffiti pieces, their b-boying style was just way better than a lot of people in San Francisco. I'm not saying San Francisco was weak,
dude, but that's so interesting, man.
I'm just saying that Daly City had a leg up.
Yeah, that's like
maybe
really interesting.
From New York. Yeah.
And I wonder what that reason is. I'll probably try to dig into that a little bit more, talking to other Daly City guys, because that's like fascinating. Like why would that happen, right?
It's true because I did go around. I went all over the city, and I noticed there were more higher quality pieces that were going on in Daly City, or like South San Francisco with Daly City, and there was some dope pieces in the city. Don't get me wrong, but it's just I noticed they had a year, maybe 6 months, just a leg up on the scene.
And let me ask you, so this is pre Crayone, but you're doing your thing. And who were some of the pieces?
I was Space Ghost. My breaking name was Space Ghost.
Ah, and so you were known as Space Ghost, and that's fresh. And then who were some of the writers? Who were some of the pieces that you said you were seeing at that time that were already established?
Well, you know what? Let's see. I know KGB was around. KGB and Reckless Rider. There were the two big crews.
So then of course there's Doug there. There's Eyes. Who were some of the KGB dudes from back then?
Let's see. I believe it was Nize, Nize, Guess, Guess, Zest, Zest. Let's see. I think Carlos. There were some other cats, but those are the main ones.
So you're seeing KGB and RW. I just want to get a little break down a little timeline. So what was your first after you left, or I don't know if you left Space Ghost. We'll talk about that. But what was your first graffiti name that you put effort into?
Actually, it was I think I just wrote Space Ghost once in a while, tagged it or something, and then I was like, yo, I can't write Space Ghost. It's too fucking long. And so I think I liked colors, so I liked either Calico or Calica or Crayon, and so I wrote Crayon for I think maybe a couple of months until one of my girlfriend's friend's mother said, if you don't like Crayon, and you still like the letters, why don't you put an E at the end? I'm like, Crayone? It's like, no, Crayon, not Crayone. It was Crayon. And I'm like, all right. And I noticed everybody was getting up. Then I noticed people were getting up their ones at the end of their name, like Doug 1, Tim 1, is always 1. I'm like, oh man, I thought they were biting me at first. And then I did some more research. I'm like, oh, New York's been doing that for years, right?
Yeah.
And so people were calling me Cray 1, and I was like, no, it's Crayon. It's Crayon. And I kept, telling people, and that people are just always gonna say what they want to say.
Yeah,
so
of course. I'm sure to this
what's up,
day.
Cray? What's up, Cray? And I'm like, fuck it, dude. It's Cray 1, Cray, or it's Crayon. Basically, it originally started with Crayon.
Dude, I think that's amazing that it was your girlfriend's mom that suggested the E. That's just I want to interview her now. I'm wondering what she knew, back in the day. All right, so let's keep on that timeline a little bit. So then now you're Crayone, and when I could jump a little bit. I'm super curious when you linked with all the partners that made TWS, but maybe you want to take.
Well, actually, there was DA before that.
Okay, talk about that.
It was me and Fury, and Styles was my breaking partner, but he did a little graph too. We had a meeting at the old Stonestown, and Styles invited me, and we went there, and I met up with all the KGB heads, and they were all cool. It was Nice, Guess, Zest, and I think Carlos. It was a girl named Kathy. It was a couple other people. I don't remember, but we all,
There were girls in KGB back then.
there was a girl, not a girls.
Dope.
Her name is Kathy, and I think she got a couple of pieces, and I think they were down with them, and I think she might have been going out with one of the guys in the group or something, but she was quiet, But we just decided, to make a crew called, I think BAD. Everybody decided on BAD, Burn and Destroy, and it was pretty exciting because because I'm in a crew of like-minded individuals that were dope too, and they were just about to just wreck it. They were about to just completely flip San Francisco on its head, really. And so we went out. I think everybody went out bombing for like a week or something, but as BAD, Burn and Destroy, or even a couple of days. And I think I called back Nyes. I'm like, yo, man, we're about to have some gigs and shit, and if we got up with Burn and Destroy, BAD, I think we need something a little bit better, man. Like something a little bit more positive, man. Not like some crazy ass, Burn and Destroy. Like, how are we supposed to get gigs like that? And I think he was like, yeah, you're right. Let me think about it. And he called me back and says, how about Together with Style, TWS? I'm like,
damn.
Yo, that's a dope name. But where'd you get that from? He's like, yeah, I know a guy named B-Boy Stop. And he's from Brooklyn, and they had a breaking crew out there called Together with Style. And so why don't we use that? And I'm like, yo, because we got permission from B-Boy Stop. I'm like, yo, that is dope, dude. That's a dope name, dude.
And that was Styles that called you with that?
No, that was Nyes.
Oh, that was Nyes from KGB. Okay.
Yeah, B-Boy. He's a Daly City cat who worked in San Jose flea market selling nuts with his parents and stuff. And so he would get up in San Jose too, but not much. But KGB did get up in San Jose.
Yo, yeah, oh, definitely. And let me ask you this, Rigel. What year was this, that was BAD formed?
I would probably think about, I don't know, 85, maybe 84.
84, 85? And then,
yeah.
And then TWS, same thing, like around the same time?
Yeah, that's the first generation TWS. There was nobody in the TWS. The second generation wasn't the first one, except exactly. So basically, after that, after about a month, I started painting. I started getting up, and I started calling everybody, and there was no response. Like, I thought I was the only guy painting. Like, I thought everybody dropped the name, and they weren't. Like, I was serious, man. I was getting up like every weekend or a couple of times a week. And by the time like a month or two hit, and I was calling up everybody, and all of a sudden I just couldn't get a hold of anyone. So I thought the crew was dead. So I took it upon myself to continue on with it and start getting people down in the crew. And this is the time when I noticed. I said to my sister, I'm like, you know what, Nicole? I want to be the best in the city. I really want to be truly the best in the city. I want people to know my name, blah, blah, blah. Because I was very, I was just, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to do the best. I wanted to be part of like a bigger crew. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So this is the time when nobody was talking to each other. I think Oakland and Berkeley was battling. San Jose was on its own little cocoon. San Francisco and Daly City was on its cocoon. Nobody up in the North Bay knew each other. So this is an opportunity. I was turning 17. I was like, yo, I'm going to get a van, and I'm going to go down to San Jose and see what's going on. I'm going to Oakland and see what's going on. So I was one of the first cats to go all over the Bay Area to find out who was who.
But it also sounds like you were one of the first dudes to be going all over San Francisco early on. So, I mean, you were just like industrious in that way.
Yeah, dude, I was hungry, dude.
Yep.
I was hungry.
Yep.
I wanted it, man. I wanted it all. And basically, I wanted to create a first Bay Area crew. Like, picked up I was looking for this cat named, I think, Solo was down there. He was like 4 or 5 years older than me, and I was just like, I didn't really connect with him, and he was okay, but he wasn't super dope or anything. But who was dope at the time was Picasso, Aladdin, and Nexus. And Nexus was doing big shit, man, and I wanted him in TWS badly. And for some reason, he surrounded himself with a lot of like cats who was talking a lot of shit, and I couldn't get a hold of him. But I did get a hold of Picasso, James, and James was doing some burners down there at the time, some super dope, like wild style, colorful stuff. And I'm like, yo, you want to be down with TWS? He was like, yeah. And then I went up to I was painting with one guy at DA. His name is Beto. And Beto had a cousin who was painting over in the East Bay. His name is Raven. And so I hooked up with Raven out in the East Bay because he was getting up in Oakland, and he was from Pittsburgh or Concord, something like that. So he was really good out there. So I picked him up, and so I was going all over the, like with Crazy Legs when he was picking his crew for Rocksteady. He was like going to different parts of the borough, battling them and seeing who was who, and then getting him down into Rocksteady. And that's what I was doing.
And so check it. So did you know that, like, you knew that Legs was out in New York, kind of doing it? Was that part of your inspiration?
Yeah, I was all up in Rocksteady and their history and stuff like that. I would read upon that.
Yeah, because it's also like, dude, that's like, I don't know why I'm surprised, but I'm surprised to hear it, that you're driving around the Bay. Because for people that don't know, the Bay, it's pretty big, It's a 45-hour drive to San Jose, and you're driving down there to speak with the dude. So did you not even really know Picasso that well? Or
No, I did. I mean, I started hanging out, started going down there a lot more, and then starting to understand the scene in San Jose. They didn't know anything about San Francisco, so I was like Robinson Crusoe, man, going into like
yes.
different parts of the world and shit. I was like, what's going on in Oakland? I started finding out about Dream. I started finding out about Fresh. I started finding out like Style. Started finding out about other people, and then I hooked up with Jim Pergoff at that time, and he was telling me, he was giving me phone numbers to other writers in San Jose, Oakland, and Berkeley, and I would visit these guys, and I would say, yo, Jim Pergoff gave me your number, blah, 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 let's connect, let's hook up. And they were like, yo, okay. So I hooked up with Chaos. His name is Django, and now it's Razor, but he was like, he was the king of Berkeley, basically, in my eyes, and he was...
Razor from KTD, so he used to write Chaos?
He was a crew called Task Force, with Ham 2 and those guys, and I started getting to know them, and they started like telling me about their inspiration, about what they want to do with their letters and characters, and same thing with Oakland, same thing with San Jose, and then I started bringing them into the city, and then showing them my yards, and then and showing them like other places in the city that had pieces, and so I would bring them up from San Jose to here, and we would have like little writers meetings and stuff like that, and they would do the same thing. They would hook me up with more writers out in San Jose, and then I would do the same thing with Oakland and Berkeley. And so this was our thing. I mean, we had TWS going into their town. We got together with TWS members, and we went to Berkeley, and we hit up Berkeley. We went to Oakland, hit up Oakland, and then I had the city where I was, I had yards in the city where people can come and piece. So it was like it was a stew. It was like kind of like everybody was understanding what was going on in different parts of the Bay.
Yeah,
and TWS was like the first part of that, the first Bay Area crew.
Which is, it's so crazy to hear it, dude, because I grew up in, Silicon Valley, and I always wondered what the connection was between Picasso down south and TWS, which I always considered, a San Francisco crew. So it's like totally amazing, dude, to know that you were traveling so much.
Yeah, dude, nobody was traveling before me.
That's fresh. Dude, also, you said this thing where you told your sister that you wanted to be the best, and, and then you mentioned Nexus, and when I think of Crayone style, it's always big for me. That's my memory. Huge and, like, real technical, and then just, like, the colors are just out of control, right? And I can see that influence from Nexus. And what happened to that dude?
You know what? He stopped. I think he got into, he had kids and had a career. He would come back once in a while, but really, he had a huge influence in the beginning. I think Aladdin was doing big stuff, but not like Nexus. Nexus was doing big productions.
And
Picasso and Aladdin was like doing more burners just separately. They were doing characters too, but Aladdin was on. Nexus was on another level.
Yeah.
And I wanted him in the crew so bad because I wanted the crew, each individual members of the crew in TWS, to do everything and not just piecing, not just burners, but to do characters, to do backgrounds, to encompass like a composition of all those skills.
Yeah, and let me ask you, like, where was the b-boying for you at this point? How much of that?
It was gone, dude. I mean, I could still do some flares. Once a b-boy, always a b-boy. You can always do some stuff, but really, I just the art took over my life, man, basically.
But how was that transition? Can you talk a little bit about that transition? Because if b-boying was such a big part of your life before that, was there any, like, was it hard at all, or were you just so jazzed off art? Like talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? There was a couple of there was a guy. I think his name is Chris Lopez. He came to my school. I was like in my math class. He walked into my math class or knocked on the door, and my math teacher said, "Yeah, go ahead. You can go outside for a little bit and talk to this person." I don't know who this person was. He's like, "Yo, I'm Chris Lopez, and I'm from Daly City or South City. I want to take you out, man. I want to battle you right now." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I was all into my work, my art, man, and I was slowly not doing b-boying. But he heard that there was a b-boy in Galileo High School, and so he came as like a gunslinger, man. He wanted to like take me out. He did the first move. I think he did like 15 like halos, and I don't know if you know what halos are, but that's a difficult move, man. I was just like, yo, man, you got this, man. Come on, man. You got me. So he came to my school and took me out. Like that's what he would do. Chris Lopez would go. I mean, he was legendary, man. He would go to different schools and take b-boys out, like a gunslinger, straight up. And so one of the schools that he came to was Galileo, and I was just like, yo, man, I'm through with b-boy, man.
Okay,
it's cool.
And then there was just this whole new world.
I didn't want to do it anymore.
So there's this whole new world of art and graffiti, and you're traveling, and you built a crew.
Yeah, I built, and then remember I told you the first generation. I just couldn't get a hold of them, so I decided to create a second generation. That's when I started getting Raven, Picasso. I got two kids from Galileo High School. They're Norm and Andy. They call themselves Normandy, and that was Risque and Norm from Chinatown. They were like the two best. I mean, I think they were the only writers that ever came out of Chinatown. That was really good, you know. And so I got these two guys from Hawaii who came out to USF. And they came to my work, and I had Graffiti University on this kind of shirt that I made, and they're like, "Yo, we want to get down, you know, like, can we paint?" And so I noticed these two guys, Bam and Estria, was doing more characters. So I was like, "Yo, okay, let's get these two guys in the crew." And so, you know, we started like forming this like rope, you know, like this like this group.
So let me pull back a little bit.
We would do these huge productions. We started getting a name out there.
Let me backtrack a little bit. How do you think? How were you so approachable by Estria and Bam? Like, I mean, clearly they knew of you. How do you think they knew to just like come at you and be like, "Yo, let's build"?
Let's paint. Yeah. You know, I don't know. It was bold, man. I mean,
yeah.
It's not like I was like super fucking retarded ghetto and shit. I mean, I was approachable. You know, I'm speed.
Of course.
But you know, like I was like, oh, okay, these two guys from Hawaii, and they just started school at USF, and they want to get down.
And so, what year was this now that's happened?
86. This is when I was out of school, so definitely after 85.
So 85, 86. And I mean, that's the people make that association, I think, really quick. TWS, Crayone, and Estria. Like, people make that association. So that was around 86 that connection happened, huh?
Yeah, but then you know, there were two partners, you know.
Yeah.
Everybody in the crew had a partner. Me and Styles was a partner. Raven and Picasso was a partner. Bam and Estria was a partner, and Norm and Andy was a partner. So we don't have to always connect with each other because we had our partner to get up with. But when we do get together, we're like 8 strong to wreck shit, you know. And we would get together. We were like, yo, we would plan out productions, you know. So we weren't a bombing crew. We didn't get up to bomb. You know, I mean, when there was an opportunity to get up, like, you know, hit up here and there, we would do it, but we weren't a bombing crew.
Yeah, and I'm really interested in that. I'm really interested in that, right? Because back then,
decision, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, so I want to hear about that conscious decision because they're like Reckless Riders, for instance. They were doing it all. They had dudes who were bus hopping and doing fills, and then they were doing big productions as well. What was that thinking or that rationale?
Well, they weren't doing big productions until Rodney came over from Chicago. And he's the one that kind of rah-rah got them together to like, hey, man, I know you guys do piece after piece after piece after piece going down horizontally, but we gotta put some shit together. We gotta put a background together. We gotta put characters together. And I know they were doing characters before, but not on a grand scale until Rodney came and showed them. That's what I heard from the grapevine.
Okay.
Is that Rodney came and then they made TMF a lot better.
Nice. And then,
yeah.
So then,
because check this out, because when Rodney came to the city, he hooked up with Jim Pergoff. Jim Pergoff gave me Rodney's number, and then I called him up, and he called me up. He said, "Hey, man, let's get down, man. Let's create a crew." I mean, like, I'm like, holy shit! Like, I don't even know you. It's like, let's create a crew, man. I'm like, you know what? I tell you what. Why don't I give you Doug's number, Dean's number, Rise's number? Why don't you give them a call, and then you decide what you want to do, man. He's like, all right, no problem. And I didn't know. Next thing you know, he got together with them, and I'm like, okay,
wow,
because yeah, dude,
that's crazy,
that
dude.
That, very clearly.
Yeah, that's crazy that you're the one that sent Ra over to them. And
well, Rodney, I told Rodney, hey, these guys are around too. These guys are dope riders.
Yeah.
And if you want to create a crew, I think you need to know the politics of San Francisco. You know what I mean? And so eventually he joined up with them. So and then basically I think he created his own crew called NPC, Masterpiece Creators.
And I want to get into that in a little bit, and you just brought up politics. So I think that's a good segue because now, dude, by this time there's a lot of established crews in the city and in the Bay. Right? And TWS, you guys are there. You're right up there with like the sort of upper echelon of dudes. When did you guys start experiencing beef? And when did graph politics in '86?
I think I didn't know the rules of the graph game in the very beginning. I was just like a kid, holding a spray pan and just wanted to do some shit. And I saw one of Doug's pieces down in downtown, and Fury took me down there, and I had a gold marker, and I put little bullet holes and shit in his piece. Like I thought I wanted to kind of. The whole thing was I don't know the dude, and I just was happy painting, and I wanted to kind of put more flavor into the piece. Like I wanted to be like I don't know what I was thinking, man. Like I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to, but. Bullet holes doesn't mean that I wanted to kill him, but it was just one of those things I thought it was kind of cool to put it place in this piece. Well, that's a big no-no, that wasn't cool. So right there, that happened. At the same time, I reached out to him. I was like, yo, man, let's get up. And he was like, yeah, cool. So I took him down to this where the Giants play baseball right now.
Yeah.
There was a yard there, and there was a bunch of trucks, and then we snuck in, and he did one side, and I did the other. And it was like the first time me getting up with Doug, because I knew Doug was like sort of like, the shit. Mm-hmm. And it was an opportunity for me to get up with him. After we got up one time, we never really got back together again or anything, but it was just like a time where I wanted to kind of know the guy.
Yeah.
And so he was cool. And after that, I think we had beef because just for whatever reason, we were the two top crews, man. Mm-hmm. And they were fun. I think once they had their own style, they had that San Francisco style, and we had the San Francisco style, but we wanted to take it to left field.
Yep.
Where when what's his name? When Rodney, Orko came over from Chicago, basically he made TMF go more toward New York, because I remember they were doing some kind of. TMF was doing, I'm sorry, it wasn't TMF, it was Reckless Riders doing more funkier stuff, which is kind of more San Francisco with a little bit of influence of New York. But once Rodney came, Reckless Riders became more New York. It was more New York based. And so we took that San Francisco style, TWS took that San Francisco style, and we took it to left field.
Yeah, and you had San Jose guys, you had Oakland guys, you had Hawaiian dudes coming in. So that your crew was really spirited.
We weren't. Whereas I think TMF was more neighborhood.
Yep.
They got together with neighborhood kids, and then they grew strong together, and it was like neighborhood thing. For me, I wanted to like pick the best of the best in different towns, and so we didn't really know each other, but we got to know each other through our arts. Art was the bind that made us grow together.
And so let's jump a little bit, because TWS is like growing, right? And it's like 86, 87, 88. Let's just jump into the end of the 80s. What was the scene like in San Francisco late 80s for your experience?
Eventually, I got into the book. I wanted to be famous in San Francisco. I didn't know anything about the world or fucking, either East Coast or whatever. I didn't even know any phone numbers.
Yeah.
And basically, Jim Pergoff came around and said, hey, I'm doing a book in about the world, on graffiti culture. I was like, oh, cool. And so I showed him a couple of places. I gave him my number to or the address to where I did some big, large productions, and eventually got in the book. And when I got in the book, I was I think half the city loved me and half the city hated me. You know what I mean? It was just pure hatred, man. And eventually, I think crews got together. They were like, yo, man, you want to be in our crew? It's like, yeah. It's like, what do I got to do? Well, you got to hate Crayone. It's like, all right. I'll hate Crayone. And that, basically, it was like, wow. Outside of San Francisco, I got nothing but love. But inside San Francisco, half the city hated me. And I don't know if it was my character. I don't know if it was my race. I don't know if it was because I was in a different crew doing different shit. But it was all part of like, eventually, I just figured out, you know what? It's just rivalry, man.
Well, yo, and
it's because I never really got any racism from anybody.
Although I'm glad that you touched on that, because I wanted to talk to you briefly just about being an Asian writer, because, I think there's a lot of Asian writers out there, and
yeah, but hardly any Koreans, man. No, dude, Korean family, dude. Koreans are the most fucking conservative people in the world, dude. I mean, dude, the biggest Christian churches in Korea, dude.
I believe it.
So I met up with a Korean writer in LA. I think his name is Swank. And I was like, dude, didn't your mother say anything crazy about your shit? And it's like, yeah, at first they did, but when I started getting like gigs and shit, they were like, they backed off. And I'm like, dude, that's the same story as me.
Nice.
I started doing some gallery shows, and then my mom looked at it and she was like, oh, you can make money off of this? Like, yeah, but that's not why I'm doing it for. But hey, I'm doing a couple of canvases that got sold, or doing like mural projects, and you get paid for it. And she was like, all right. She backed off.
Yeah.
But before that, she was like, she was totally against it. I didn't tell her shit.
And for people that don't know the Bay Area, there's a lot of Asian people. So there were a lot of Asian writers in the Bay Area, and it was not
especially Filipinos.
Filipinos. A lot of Hapas. A lot of half Japanese, half Chinese, half Filipino, half Korean. And I think that and I'm half Japanese too. So I've often been viewing this kind of culture through that lens, and being in New York, different thing, right? Very different. Like, it's rare that you meet an Asian writer that came out of New York. Very rare. There's a few.
Exactly.
They're out there, but it's rare. So I guess I'm just gonna curious if you have any other thoughts on like what it's been to have a career as an Asian in this graffiti culture.
Yeah, I never really tripped because in San Francisco it's a multicultural thing. So whenever I do anything, it's normal when I see a bunch of different people of color.
Yeah.
And I've just noticed it's cool. I mean, when I come across b-boy crews that have all blacks or all white or all Asian, I trip on that. I'm like, yo, man, this ain't real. I don't like this. I ain't down with this.
Mm-hmm.
I like when crews, like when DA was around. DA had Filipinos, whites, blacks, Asians, Chinese. It was all different. Mexicans. It was like all different types of color inside our crew, and we were like, "Yo, this is San Francisco. Mm-hmm. This is the face of San Francisco." And so when I created the crew, I wanted to make sure that it was well-rounded, man. We had everybody.
Yeah, and you really did. So let's talk a little bit, because then you come out in spray can art. I presume it was a positive thing for you in the long run.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Yeah, and you've been published in all kinds of just books and magazines since then. I want to jump a little bit because, my first experience of really seeing TWS stuff was around 1990 when I started going to high school in the city, and at that point you guys were kinging shit. And then 92, was it 91? I can't remember when you guys did. There were multiple productions at Psycho City, and you were also battling some crews. I wonder if you can talk a little bit about some of the bigger battles that you guys had.
I think we had Funk with TMF, and they wanted to do some shit, but I noticed in LA they had a battle, I think it was Slick and Hex, and it was on one wall where you can kind of see and decipher,
mm-hmm.
Who was better or who had better pieces or better characters. But for us, it was we would hit this side of the town, and then they would hit another part of the town. We would hit another part of the town. They would hit another. We would hit in Oakland. They would probably go out there to Oakland, maybe look at it, and probably do something in San Francisco. So it was it was a battle, but we knew we would hit different places. We would never really get together in one place because I think shit would have flew off if we came it together in one spot. I don't think we would have had enough we would have had, there would have been some fights and stuff. There was some instance where I came up to Psycho City, and I think Doug and Bizarro was painting, and we almost got into a fight because I just happened to show up, and I think I was just talking about something, and I didn't think I incited anything, but eventually they were about to surround me, and they were about to beat my ass up. And no one threw any punches, thank God, but it was pretty tense for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, but you guys have managed to stay, like, at least professionally, you guys know.
Because we, overall, you know, they were sort of like our enemies. They were like, you know, they were the other side of the town.
Yeah.
Because we were more like avenues and shit. We were like over the East Bay. We were down the South Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were like the Bay Area, but, you know, they had the mission. And, you know, and so it was like we respected them for what they were doing, but eventually, I think when I talked to him last time on a one-on-one, man-to-man, it was like I think it was like 1999 or 1998 when you know, we had over a few beers and we just talked about how, you know, like how we viewed each other's work, and this is like the first time where I actually talked to Doug about it.
Wow.
And it was me and Doug talking about how he was like, you know what? I think he said something like, you know, we never really wanted to take graffiti to the next level. We like graffiti. He said, we like graffiti around 83 to 85. And I want to do that over and over and over again, but make it fresh, make it different, but still keep it in that era. And
nice.
I'm like, yo, that's cool, man. Respect. That's dope. You know, I can you know, relate to that, you know.
Yeah, and you can see that in their style.
I didn't want it to follow New York at all, so I wanted to take it into a different direction. I wanted to do a different technique, different colors, themes, and different shit. And he was like, yeah, we weren't into that. And, you know, but we were into it. So,
yeah, and
so
you
we
know,
were doing graffiti for different reasons, but overall I had respect for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And I know he has it for you. And, like, also, you know, it's interesting that you said that Doug said he wanted to keep it in that era, because I always felt like TWS, you guys were trying to live in the future. You know,
right,
I mean,
right.
You guys were doing futuristic shit. I didn't even know until way later that this huge, awesome Robotech style character that was done down in Palo Alto on the side of this club that I grew up right next to. Like, I didn't know that was you for years. And, like, you know, I know a lot of dudes had painted some Robotech stuff, but this was huge. For people that don't know, this was a big robot, man. And like, so
it was technical too. And I used
very.
There was a when I went out to Berkeley, one of the things about going out to a different town and be the first person is to you get first dibs on shit. And so I went to Django's house, you know, Razor, you know, and he had the skinny cap, and I'm like, yo, where'd you get this? He's like, yo, I made it up, or he got it from somewhere, or he made it up. I forgot, but all I know is that he actually showed me how to use it, and so I used it on my piece, which is like tiny little what do you call wires in that robot, and people were bugging out like, yo, how'd you get these lines so thin? Yo, I got it from Razor, you know, I got it from Django from Berkeley. And so I was telling people how to do it, and basically I spawned a couple of guys to do skinny cap work and stuff, or to do skinny cap techniques on certain pieces where you need skinny cap lines.
Yeah, dude, and that's cool, man. And that was like pioneering shit. It was what you had to do, right, to get it. I told a bunch of people this story that, you know, I learned how to mix paint through Misk, and Misk learned how to mix paint from you. And, like, we had never seen putting two cans together. We didn't know about that. And I remember watching you mix colors at, I think it might have been at Franklin Yard, just like out of the trunk of a car, you were mixing up some crazy jungle green. And like that, dude, like I had just never seen anything like that. And it's a beautiful thing how industrious, you know, we had to be back then.
And you know what? When we went down to San Jose riders told us about the notorious proper purple. And we're like, what the fuck is proper purple? Well, it was like a deep purple that I've never seen in a spray can before. I mean, I heard of icy grape. I've seen it once, and it wasn't that color. It was something different, like almost like a magenta purple.
Was that Orchard Supply Hardware?
No. We went to the San Jose Flea Market, which is still the biggest flea market in the world. We went to the back and to the right, and there was this guy in a truck selling spray paint, and it was like $1 a can. And man, dude, it was the freshest color I've ever seen. And so we knew where to get specific colors around the Bay Area because we had crews in that town. Mm-hmm. We had people in the crew in that town who knew the politics, who knew. Mm-hmm. So we had a leg up on the scene for a lot of years, man. Mm-hmm. When we went to Oakland, we knew exactly where to go. You know, when we went to San Jose, we knew exactly where to go. So when they came to San Francisco, I would lace that information to them. Like, this is the place you got to go. Don't go here at night. You know what I mean? Just just because we were in a crew together, you know?
And so I want to segue with that topic of information, because I think the internet, was just such a game changer for, well, every single industry in the world, obviously. And when it comes to graffiti, I'm curious about your thoughts on how the internet came to be and the influence that it's had then and now.
I'm the first generation here, and there wasn't a lot of people that taught me anything. But there was, when I started meeting people, they would start lacing me up with what to do, what not to do, and stuff like that. And then I would read and stuff like that. But one thing that's missing in this new era of internet of getting or picking styles out of the blue is the loss of what do you call that? There's a word that I'm looking for here. It's when you pass it down from a face to face.
Like a lineage.
Lineage, exactly. That's the word I'm looking for. Lineage. Yeah. It's like it's gone. Now people can get online and pick a style from Timbuktu, and I remember, then you can kind of mash up whatever. I mean, just like what we did back then. But for some reason, it's like the local style is lost.
Right.
And the handing it down from an OG to a youngster is lost. It's almost like they want to skip that process. So for anybody who wants to start, and I would say get a mentor, man. There should be people. I think that's what's wrong about these days, is that there's a lot of OGs, including myself, who don't give back as much, or even at all.
And I'm interested now because
I do give back. I am teaching a couple of kids, but at my own time. But my own time there's a lot of I got to do. Like I got a career and shit I got to take care of. But the thing is, it's always good to give back and not play any games, man. It's like, hey, if you want to bomb, that's your thing. It's like, and there's, that bombing is part of the culture. And then if you feel like bombing is better than doing multicolored burners, then I might not be the person for me to teach you.
Right.
You know what I mean? If you're into like multicolored burners, you want to do dope characters, you want to do productions, and you want to bomb, hey, bomb on the side. You do your bombing thing, but don't tell me about it. But I could show you some techniques, some skills, some style, and characters. Maybe you might need to go back to school, because I can't really give you that full time right now. But if you can go back to school and learn some basic shading and stuff like that, and I can show you some good penmanship. We can start from there, and I can grow you as a writer and shit. Even if you need to understand about how to get paid, I can show you that. I can. There's a lot of information I have, man, and I don't mind dishing it out to the new generation.
Yo, that's interesting. And to be honest, on that,
I can't look for them. They gotta look for me. You know what I mean?
Well, and on that tip of getting paid, like I'm personally dealing with this world now where I have to like know how to quote for my services and get the right fee and not feel like I'm getting taken advantage of, which happens more often than not. So like the fact that you have now 20 plus years of commercial spray paint work under your belt, like people would be a fool not to ask you for your advice on things like business wise. So it's really great to hear that you have a couple of kids that you're showing stuff to, because I know that you still paint. I mean, you're still doing it. Actually, to be honest, I don't think I've seen a burner from you in a long time, but I've seen a lot of characters. When's the last time you painted just like a full-blown piece, man?
About maybe a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you've done a lot of interiors and just a lot of like project-based stuff around character work.
Yeah.
And can you just talk a little bit about the career path?
Well, the thing is, for me, it's been about letters. Everything else is icing on the cake. Like if I do a character, I mean, for me, I would love if you was to say, "Hey, look, Raj, here's a wall for you. Can you just do your thing?" I would do letters, because I would feel comfortable doing letters. When I do characters, when I tell people this, it freaks them out. When I do characters, I stress. I mean, I'm not a character guy, but I can bust characters. I can do characters, but I'm not comfortable. When I do letters, I'm comfortable, because I've been doing letters for a long time. I do so much lettering that sure, I went through different stages in my life with different styles and stuff, but when it comes to characters, it's not a very easy thing for me to do with characters. But I'm comfortable with letters, so I would do letters first.
But it seems like but then are you being commercially more hired to do characters than anything else?
Exactly. Because for some reason I think commercially they don't understand letters.
Right.
And letters is sort of like it's made by kids for kids, and
well, it's also like
there's an art form in it.
I forget who one of these other. I'm sorry, one of these other interviews that I did. I think it might have been Doug. He spoke about that it was almost it's like a code. You know, and like I think people see lettering and it's just a code that they can't crack, so it doesn't make sense to them. It's like seeing just like a
they don't understand it, so they put it in a box where they think it's evil.
Sure,
you know, like
right.
gangsters do it, or it looks Arabic. You know what I mean?
Oh
my
wow!
God,
Oh, interesting.
Art, You know, so it's like, hey, and I know some of the graffiti writers that I know, they're like, you know what? Fuck that. I love to call it the word graffiti. I want them to put fear in them, and that's sort of like it's giving sort of like the power back into the kids, where it's like, you know what? You know, if they don't accept this, I mean, we didn't do this to be accepted. We did this because it was cool. You know,
that's for sure. You began this commercial career.
Commercial, from the very beginning.
Yeah, and
20 plus years. You're looking at 30 years.
Right.
I've done graffiti for about 32 years now.
It's 32, and you've maintained it. You've continued to do it, and you know it's really interesting.
There's never been a year where I haven't painted.
Yeah.
So I mean, I've never stopped painting.
But then what's interesting now, people might not know this, you're having like a complete career shift right now. Or I should say you're taking on a second career, and you're working for the San Francisco Fire Department.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
You know, I have to tell you, man, I mean, I've had jobs before, but it's always been a struggle, you know, like especially when I was trying to make graffiti my full-time job, dude. I can't do it. There's some people that can do it. I can't. So I need a regular job. And to supplement my income, I would do some gigs on the side or whatever, but I would always paint. And that's important is that you got to paint, man. You know, it's like, I think it's, you know, art is therapeutic. And to me, you know, graffiti is art. And so I'm, you know, making sure that, you know, my health is there. And now with this new career, I'll have more money to buy paint. You know,
dude, you know I mean, has anyone else pointed out the irony that for 32 years you've been making burners and now your new career is extinguishing burners? Am I the first one to say that shit? Yeah.
So definitely, man, it's an opportunity for me to promote my art, because I think for many years, this might be hard for you to understand and believe, is that nobody really believed in me. I mean, there were some people that respected me, but when it comes to like putting money down into my art, instead of saying, hey, you know, here's you know 10 G's, buy yourself a whole bunch of canvases and some paint, but I get first dibs on canvas. Like, I never had that happen to me. Like, nobody really believed in me, so now I have to believe in myself, and I have to make money, and I have to put money into my art and see where it goes from there. You know, maybe I'm 49 years old right now. Maybe it took from the age of 17 to 49 to figure that one out. You know, because I'm not really a businessman. I mean, I do gigs and stuff, and I know how it works, but I didn't really consider myself a businessman. I consider myself an artist first, especially a graffiti writer that actually does letters first and foremost. As a love. I can do characters. Hey, you want characters? I can get paid doing characters. Sure, I'll do characters. But you know, it's always never been comfortable for me to do characters, but I'll do them. But to get paid, because I'm broke. But now it's like, maybe the art might change, because I'm not going to be starving as much. You feel me? Now my work is going to change, but I still want to paint, but I don't know what kind of painting. And that's the next phase of my life, is that you never want to be stuck in a phase. You want to always be moving. You always want to be growing. And now the next stage of my life is, okay, now I can get money to buy paint, and get some canvases, and get, you know, I can choose my mural work now. It's like, oh, I don't like this mural work because, you know, this is not what I believe in. I'm not going to do a mural work because it's a cigarette company. I don't believe in cigarettes. You know what I mean? Before it was like, shit, man, I need cash. You know, sure, I'll do it. Totally. Now it's like, okay, so my job is giving me the opportunity to like make choices.
Yeah, and that's amazing, dude. And I mean, what's interesting about you, it sounds like, dude, that you've really done your own thing your whole life for the most part, you know, and it's working out for you. So I have a feeling it's just going to continue with that.
Yeah, I mean, you might say it's working out for me, but it's been a struggle, man.
No, I don't doubt that.
I think I understand why now when parents tell kids not to be artists, because it's a struggle. It's a struggle, and I've struggled for 30 plus years, man.
Yeah.
And it's been a journey. I wouldn't trade it for anything, man.
Exactly, and that's my point, right? Is that you've done your own thing. Of course, it's been hard, but it would have been hard no matter what. You hit the lottery one day for $1 billion, your life's still going to be hard. You're just going to have money to pay your bills. You know what I mean? It's all
right,
like
exactly.
Everything is so subjective to what you're going through. So, I want to be like kind of conscious of your time, but this has been like, I mean, dude, you have so much knowledge, bro. It's awesome to get it here. You mentioned that you're first generation, like San Francisco or Bay Area writer, and like the first generation of New York writers are starting to pass away. And like, and I mean, even you said you're 49 years old. You could live another 49 years, but we just don't know. And so I'm like really, it gives me inspiration to make this podcast to begin, because maybe one day there'll be 1,000 of these episodes and have like a huge document of how we made this thing, this graffiti culture. So thanks again for being here.
Especially you're talking about the beginning years,
which I think that's the most important, because like the further back we go, the more distorted the truth gets, right? We forget the truth. It just gets bent, and this year is, I've never seen more truth bending than in this year of my life. So tell us a bit about your involvement, how you got connected with the Universal Zulu Nation, and just like what that means to you.
Let's see. Fury from the breaking practice, he was the one that brought in the first graffiti sketch for me to see. Mm-hmm. Well, he also knew about Zulu Nation, and he wanted to get involved with it, but there was a guy, I think, in Daly City, who was a little bit more prone to having his own crew in the chapter, and so he would tell. I think there was some couple of guys that found out, oh, you got to pay $300 or $100 something to get in. Usually it's supposed to be like $35, but it was kind of like an exclusive club where like someone figured out how to get a chapter and excluded everybody else. And so we were kind of jaded, and until like I think 2005. I had the opportunity to find out what was going on with the Zulu Nation chapter in the city, because one of my partners was in it, and invited me, and basically I fell in love again. To why I should have joined earlier, but for some reason it wasn't the right time. So 2005 I got in, around 2006, and I got Fury, my boy who taught me about Zulu Nation, into the crew, into the Zulu Nation chapter. And so we've been growing it, the All Tribes chapter in San Francisco, we've been growing it. There's a lot of politics involved, man. Super politics. And that we are still following the ideas and the dreams of Africa Bambaataa, who's started Zulu Nation. But because he's been accused of child molestation, that inside the World Council, or the people in New York, they're trying to figure out if he's still able to even be involved. A lot of people are saying he shouldn't be involved. So right now there's a lot of shakeup going on, and I don't want to talk too much about it because I'm not the public information officer for Zulu Nation. Sure. But I do know that there's a lot of shaking up going on, and that half the people don't want Africa Bambaataa involved anymore. I think his ideas, his influences, and his sayings, his teachings are viable still to this very day. It's just that the man who's accused of child molestation has to go. You know what I mean? Like, just because a person in the Catholic Church, a priest, molests children, you do not denounce the Catholic religion. You just denounce the priest. Right, of course. Yeah, so you gotta. So I think the people in the higher ups of the Zulu Nation chain in New York is trying to figure that one out right now, as we speak. Yeah, so I can't really get too much into it, but I do know that I still love Zulu Nation. I'm still very big part of Zulu Nation. It's just that we have to figure out that he has to go. You know, a lot of people don't want to be involved in Zulu Nation that has a leader. Well, he's always been what do you call that? He's been a figurehead, not really a leader. He's never been made decisions for a long time. So he's just a figurehead, and a lot of people respect him, but the reality is that he's nowhere to be found as far as like decision making on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, and can you talk just a little bit about how maybe Zulu Nation has affected your graffiti?
I don't think it has affected my graffiti. I think I did it separate from Zulu Nation. Okay. It's just that when I joined Zulu Nation, it was funny. They had a 10-question questionnaire to join Zulu, and one of the questions was about me. They had to take it out. What? because nice. You have to understand the history of the Bay Area hip hop, you know, because Zulu Nation is hip hop, with the fifth element being knowledge, and so they had to be careful. It was a crack up. It definitely was a crack up. My name was mentioned in one of the one of the questions.
That's amazing, dude. That's fucking funny.
Yeah, it's like they gave me hella respect, and I gave them hella respect back, and basically it's all about giving.
Nice.
And it's another way of giving back to the community, because you never stop giving to the community. So one of the things I do is not only give back to the community, but also teach the kids that want to learn.
Check it out, though. I want you to tell people, if you would, like how we can contact you, how people can like hire you, where we can follow your work.
It's pretty simple. It's www.crayone.com. That's CRAYONE.com, and email's pretty simple. It's crayone@crayone.com.
So, dude, thanks again, man. Like, really appreciate having you on. And man, there's so many things that I know people are they're gonna direct message me or email me after this episode drops. They're gonna say, "Why didn't you ask this? Why didn't you ask that?" Which has happened with every episode so far. So I hope you'll be open to doing another interview down the road, because I'm sure you just have a whole lot more knowledge to pass. That fifth element, that fifth pillar. Thanks again for listening. This has been another episode of My Life in Letters, recorded live every week in Bushwick, Brooklyn, USA. Huge shout out to my engineer and editor, UziEgo. Thanks again for listening.